Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I'm Ron Thomas, Denver Police Chief. I want to give a briefing on an incident that occurred last night at the Ultra Lounge here in the 9700 block of East Hampton Avenue. What I understand at this time is that just after midnight, we received a call of a disturbance at this location. And while en route, there was another call that was received of a shooting in the parking lot at this event. Officers arrived and found one victim that they did treat in the parking lot, and he was transported, but ultimately was determined to be deceased. There were 8 other victims that were either transported by medical or safety personnel or transported themselves to area hospitals. All of them, as I understand it, are in stable condition. What we understand is that there was another event at another location earlier in the day where there was a confrontation between 2 groups. Apparently that confrontation spilled over to this location later in the day where they confronted each other on the outdoor patio as well as in the parking lot, and gunfire ultimately erupted. So far at this time we've not recovered any weapons, but the evidence suggests that at least 2 weapons were fired during this incident. If there are specific questions I can answer.
Were those 8 people injured just bystanders, or were they also involved with those 2 people?
We don't know. We're in the process of conducting a number of interviews right now, and so we imagine some of them may have been involved in the initial confrontation, but others may have just been bystanders. This is quite a large gathering that was here last night, unusual for a Sunday evening.
Were they all the victims? Were they all in the same area on the patio?
Generally, so in the parking lot and on that patio area, I think that there were shots that were fired at both locations.
For those 8 victims, did they all sustain gunshot wounds, or were they just injured?
I believe that they all sustained gunshot wounds of varying degrees of seriousness.
Do you want to talk about the difficulties of having so many victims come from one event, just the amount of resources it takes to
Sure.
investigate?
Sure. Obviously there were a lot of patrons that were here at this establishment, so that's a lot of witnesses to interview. Having to, have investigators go to area hospitals and interview witnesses as they're being treated. So quite a difficult situation, and really just kind of trying to piece together exactly what happened leading up to that shooting.
We had at least a dozen shooting victims over the course of the weekend.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about just the violent weekend we had and your message to the community?
Yes, quite a troubling situation this weekend with, I think, 5 deaths, maybe 6. Certainly unusual in Denver, especially given our trends recently. But, what I can tell you is that, they are all unrelated to each other, but I think related in the fact that, significant impact on the community, significant impact on the families of those that were killed, and also on the families of those that were suspects in those shooting incidents. We are working with other city partners as community partners as well to really try to identify how we can respond to this. We do have connections with various violence interrupters that we dispatch into the community, to make sure that there are no retaliation events and any follow-on violence after an event like this. And typically we are successful. As you're probably aware, most of these shootings have not occurred in locations where we typically see violent events occur, but troubling nonetheless.
Is there a relationship between the victim who was shot and killed and the suspects?
At this incident, well, we don't know. We have not identified suspects. We have some descriptions of suspects in this case, so we don't know what the relation is between the victims and the suspects.
What is the relationship between the event that happened before and what happened?
My understanding is this was sort of an after party for that event that occurred, outside of our city, and so that's, I think, why they were not prepared as far as the security force was concerned. They did not anticipate such a large gathering on a Sunday evening, but I think the event at another location, I think, gathered several patrons that decided to move their after party over to this location.
Where was the other event?
It was in Aurora. So.
How many people were at this event?
Which event?
At this, how many people
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but quite a few again, larger than is anticipated on a Sunday evening for a nightclub establishment.
Were police called to the first event? You said there was an altercation.
Yes, there was a disturbance in the parking lot. We were called to that. We were en route when the second call was received.
So that it didn't happen this evening. I think it's earlier in the day.
No, so no, so the sort of the precipitating event we believe occurred much earlier in the day. I think individuals involved in that event came here for the after party, and that's where the second escalation of violence occurred.
And this area is no stranger to gun violence. Would you
Sure.
like to say do people that live around here have seen these types of shootings happen?
Yeah, I would imagine quite unusual for this area. I mean, previously, we know that there was a shooting after the capture of the Venezuelan president, where there was an altercation in the street. We know that that incident occurred. There's been some other violence that has occurred in this neighborhood. Typically unusual, but unfortunately more commonplace. I think one of the challenges that we face in our city, all over our city, is that there are far too many people that have access to guns and just don't have the appropriate conflict resolution skills to keep, disturbance or a disagreement from escalating into gun violence.
And just clarify, do or do not have information regarding the suspects?
We have descriptions, but we don't. But we don't have names or anything like that. So, really, just witness accounts of who they believe they saw.
Just to be clear, so there was an event in the morning, earlier in the day, right in the afternoon,
Correct.
and then those people came here for the after party.
Yes.
Then you guys were called for a disturbance here.
Correct. So we were called for a disturbance that was, I think, emanating in the parking lot. As we were responding to that, that's when another call was received from the establishment saying that there were shots that were being fired.
Do you know the status and the condition of the people who were taken to the hospital?
I believe that they're in a serious but stable condition.
Do you believe this was targeted?
Um, I mean, I believe that that there were two groups who were in conflict, and I think that they were engaging with each other, and so targeted in that sense, but not targeted in the sense that the people came here with the intent to shoot someone.
Groups as in, do you mean gang related?
We don't know. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to dig into their histories to see if there's any gang involvement or gang ties. We don't believe that this is necessarily a gang-motivated event, though.
How long are you guys going to be here?
I would imagine we're going to be here for quite some time still. I mean, obviously a lot of evidence in the parking lot, shell casings and that to recover and evidence to document. And so I would imagine this parking lot will be closed for quite some time to go. All right. Well, thank you all.